Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars The Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. Got myself, John McKeever, and CJ Jones today. Hoping to have a great show. Maybe it can mirror what we saw in Mandalorian and Bad Batches. Those were pretty solid shows this week. Hopefully we can provide that for you as well.
You're cutting out. Yeah, I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. That's weird. I'm getting like bits and say something. Count
How
to
about
10.
now? Testing
Yep.
1, 2. Okay. All right. Very professional. If you could, hit the like button. It helps the video out a lot. And we hope to provide you with some quality recap today. So
I thought you didn't like this episode. The Mando episode.
I didn't. But,
But it's quality.
It was quality. Okay? The episode in itself was fine. It was good. I would have loved it if I was maybe even 5 years younger. I think I'm just growing up a little bit. And I don't just want cool action, because this episode had that. Chapter 20, the Foundling, had some really cool action. I mean, like, I was thinking about it as I watched the second time. I was like, this is really good, well choreographed action. It was solid.
Yeah.
Seeing them fight as Mandalorians, like many of them fighting together like that, it was much improved from season 1, the jetpack usage that we saw. You know what I mean? Like that jetpacks that we saw in season 1 looked like guys on bungee cords jumping up and down on trampolines. It was stupid. Okay? Season 3, it looked really legit. Like it looked great, and it was fun to watch. I would have rather seen them fight like people personally. I'm not much into like the monster hunts, you know. Personally, it's something that's been done even in this show several times already. But it was cool and it was fun. It was a fun, cool episode. But for
My
me,
concern, which I think is what you're about to say, I'll say it.
Yep.
What you're thinking. We're halfway through the season, and we don't know what the point is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it was a great episode in and of itself. Minimal complaints. But what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean,
What's going on?
if we had 16 episodes, even 12, I would
Even
not be
10.
having the same conversation.
I'd be fine with
But
10.
with having 8 episodes and considering how short they are, I know it's something we've said before, but it just is like, we do not have the time for nothing to happen. I mean, essentially, we haven't seen the characters in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? We saw them last week, but just very little. And in the
They
last
just got from A to B.
in the last 2 weeks, so if you go from Grogu, Din, and Bo-Katan, we've seen 3 episodes now. And in those 3 episodes, since they were in the waters or whatever, we have seen them take a bath, kill 3 TIE fighters, or not TIE fighters,
TIE Interceptors.
TIE interceptors, and kill a dragon. And nothing really plot-wise developing outside of Grogu's flashback and Bo telling the armorer that she saw a mythosaur. So it's like nothing's really...
Yeah, it's all kind of intangible story progression, intangible character development, stuff that hasn't been realized yet. Like, there's a lot of stuff kind of cooking.
Right.
Nothing's just been put in the oven yet.
This is kind of the formula, though, that CJ talked about last week. CJ even said seasons 1 and 2 have done the same thing. They had first 4 episodes kind of have like this own little story that kind of seems okay, Dawson. That kind of seems a little bit disjointed, and then the last 4 episodes it builds up to the finale. So CJ, is that what you think is going to happen again here this season?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like it has to, or it's gonna be just nothing's gonna happen at all.
Yeah.
Like if they don't start now, when are they gonna start?
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like what we said with Bad Batch a few weeks ago. We're like, we only got a little bit left. This needs to get going, or it's gonna be a underwhelming ending, and it has. It's gotten going. So hopefully, you know, I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, but I just don't always trust that every episode is the best decision they could have made. You know what I mean? With Bad Batch, I think it makes a little more sense because you do have that young audience, and Mandalorian has a very wide audience as well, probably more wide than Bad Batch does. Honestly,
Definitely.
there's probably more kids watching Mandalorian than there are that watch Bad Batch. I would even argue that the Bad Batch fandom is primarily adult.
It's all the people that watched Clone Wars are watching Bad Batch, and people who didn't watch Clone Wars and
So I think
teenagers with cell phones, they're watching Mando.
we definitely get a little bit of the intentional watered down story, I feel. And maybe I feel a little spoiled since Andor, because that's definitely my speed of show. I like a show that really dives into the story and the characters. And Mando's a good show. It's just different, you know.
That's what Andor was. Andor was intangible development, but not much happened.
Yeah, but there was development. Whereas this last episode of
it's just kind of like
nothing really
inching
developed.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in Andor, you had multiple plot lines being developed every episode, in some way or shape or form. And if it wasn't the plot line, it definitely was the characters. And this, we end and start the episode, and I don't feel like the characters are really further along. I don't feel like the story is really further along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For all intents and purposes, we're not closer to everyone getting back to Mandalore. We're not closer to finding out
If there's
how
a
the
bad guy
Empire's
this season.
involved.
If it's involved. Like, honestly, we haven't.
Yeah.
It's been weird. So there's something coming. They're going to have a big reveal.
Hoopla.
Or a big bad. Maybe if it's even Bo, that could still seem possible. It does seem like there was some ominous music playing when she was talking about the
She is not going to be the bad guy. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
CJ said last week, no way. It does not make sense.
I don't think it does either, but I would not be shocked if that's the decision they went. Can I get into some gripes I had with this episode?
Let's start at the beginning and we'll go through. And remember, you've got a list.
I do.
I know you have a list, right?
got a list.
Start at the beginning. We start out with basically the training ground, right?
Yep. So
Goes for
issue
about
number
15
one.
minutes.
Literally looked like middle-aged dudes in their cosplay playing karate with each other. I'm like, this was the most lowly produced, choreographed training sequence I've ever seen. They're literally standing.
I wouldn't go that
Oh my
bad.
gosh, dude! They're standing on a beach, just like whacking each other.
What are you expecting?
Like the best fighting force in the galaxy to be training and actually look like they know how to fight. They're shooting at water without even targets. They're just wasting ammunition.
That was
very
weird.
confused.
Launching rockets into water for no apparent reason. They're not even aiming. There's like, dude just stands there and just goes. At one point, if you look, there's a shot. He's aiming at the water like this, and then he just goes and just shoots straight up into the sky. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, it was so stupid looking. And if you like just watch some of the combat, I know they're training like younglings or foundlings and apprentices and stuff, but it still was just this super slow. And I get you're getting foundations and stuff. But if I'm watching Star Wars Mandalorian training, like I'm thinking something's going to be intense. These people are moving quick. They are developed in advance. And this was just like Cobra Kai.
Was that part of the point? To show that they're not all...
Because if it is, that's
all
stupid.
tense and strong as they used to be.
I'm not trying to watch
Mandalore.
weak Mandalorians. I'm not going to lie. And then they went and fought, and they didn't look weak at all when they were fighting. So, I don't know.
When did they fight?
When they fought the dragon, they looked like they knew what they were doing.
That was like four of the best ones.
Sure, maybe. I mean, maybe that's what they're trying to get at. But still, the idea of just like sitting on a beach. Point number 2.
Why are you here?
Why are you at this location? You've been attacked by a turtle monster, or whatever you want to call that thing, and you just stay. And then apparently your kids are getting kidnapped left and right.
Did they give a number?
It's
to how
here
many have
again.
been taken?
He didn't say. It said it's happened several times before. And you haven't like decided to post sentries and be like, hey, there's one coming, everyone get in the cave. And you just like let your children walk around and just say, oh, there he goes. See you later.
I also like how later on they talk about if you get close to it, it just eats the children. So it's like malicious or something, I guess. But I do think it's funny that, like, after you find out that it'll just wait to kill them until you get close with it and try and kill it, then
Yeah, like what's the point in that?
Yeah,
why you
that
waited
was
so long
what
to hunt it?
the armor said. Like, if you get, like you said, if you get too close or if you frighten it, it will kill the child, and it did not kill the child.
Yeah.
It dropped it out of its mouth.
Yep. So that bothers
like,
me.
they
You
definitely
think the
have
best
not.
fighting force in the galaxy is going
They're not
to
the best.
have
I think it's clear that they're not the best at this point.
someone posted or like turrets set up or just some way to combat this. Move to a different spot. I don't know. So
I agree.
then Bo, they chase him, and in my opinion, I felt like
wait, no, you're getting way ahead. You're getting ahead of Grogu fighting.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. You're totally right.
You're in a tirade. You're blinded by rage.
Okay, so next we get to see, and I liked this aspect of the story, the idea of Din saying, "Look, if you're going to be a Mandalorian, you got to start learning the ways of Mandalorians," and I thought that was a good development for their story. I will give them props to that. I enjoyed that part. However, the execution of it was extremely frustrating for me. Because
the
paintball was fine. I understand it. I understand the reasoning behind it. But Grogu's just flipping around like some dude chucking him around. And if you actually go and watch the scene...
Did you watch the video by Eckhart Slatter where he complained about it? Okay, I knew...
I had already been thinking it, but then I saw the Eckhart Slatter video and I saw him slow it down. And like the doll is just like standing there perfectly still when it lands. Like, no bounce when he lands. It just...
Which he did in Boba Fett.
Yeah, in the book of Boba Fett, his jumping all looked very well, and they used CGI on it, but they didn't use it for this point. They literally did the doll spin thing that we talked about before. So, again, that frustrates me, but it also made no sense. Because the guy says, right at the beginning, all right, you get a point for every hit. It must show, and the order in which you shoot does not matter. So then they go shoot once, he goes, point, and the round stops. And they shoot again. Point. And the round stops. And then they go next time. Grogu says, I'm going to shoot you 3 times. You know? And it just makes no sense.
I think the kid was just kind of like, thought it was a gimme. I can explain this one way. He thought it was a gimme, so he's just like, all right, I'll just kind of take it one at a time. Yeah, but
the guy then would like start a new round every time. He'd go, ready, go. So like those rules made no sense.
Yeah, I would say they were definitely just kind of backyard rules. It was Grogu's first fight. Like, they're going to help him out.
I'm not giving him a pass for it. It was poorly written.
I like how he flipped over him.
And then just to flip back, when he could have shot him in the back.
Just to flip back, yeah. What's up with that?
Literally made no sense.
It's his first fight. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He did not need to
he
jump
knows
back
enough to flip over him. He
also,
can flip and turn.
Backing up to...
No, he can't turn. He's a puppet, let's be honest. He's like, I'm stuck. I got to go back the other way.
Backing up to the crabs. The CG on the crab was a little... the one he picked up.
Yeah.
It's because the one he picked up, when he did this kind of thing, it was just an image, and they were just rotating the image.
Oh.
So none of the lighting changed on the bottom of it, so it was just...
Yeah, I didn't look that closely.
And then I could tell in the second... It looked weird on the first watch through, but then on the second watch through, I realized that I think all that water was CG on the waves. Because the way it was crashing against the shore was just a little weird. And then when the crabs walked into it, you could tell. So it was just... They did use a lot of CG in this episode, I will say. So
they definitely did.
I think they just shortcut in certain areas. Like these parts, the beginning, and then they spent all their money on the
Dragon.
Shriek-Hawk.
Is that what they called it?
Yeah, it's basically a giant vulture.
It's a pterodactyl.
I'd say more vulture.
I'd say pterodactyl.
Because it had a beak.
Pterodactyls don't have beaks?
Not like a bird beak.
Doesn't matter. It's a screech vulture or whatever it's called.
Screech-Hawk.
Shriek-Hawk.
Shriek-Hawk.
Screech-Hawky. Hawk Shriek.
I mean, they've only been here for a couple months, so they just made up a name for it.
Now, there was some dialogue in here that was pretty shoddy, in my opinion. Just the talking in between the Mandalorians, it feels so unnatural. Like, it feels very canned to me.
It's because it's all voiced over.
It's
inherently more difficult.
So was Vader, and so have been many helmeted characters.
Well, James Earl Jones, that's not even fair.
But even like D. Bradley, so many helmeted characters in Star Wars, and I feel like these Mandalorians it doesn't quite fit. Even like with the way they move their head and stuff, I feel like there should be someone in there saying these lines. And then they just... I'm
sure there's a person behind camera reading them, and they're doing this kind of thing.
I just don't feel they've gotten the balance, because whenever I'm watching it, sometimes it throws me off, you know? I don't remember who said it. Someone said they feel like Bo-Katan in the helmet and Bo-Katan out of the helmet are two totally different people. And I kind of get the way that feels.
So I think that for the most part, Bo-Katan is Katie Sackhoff under the helmet, because I saw her make a comment.
Oh no, I believe it's the same actor, but I just mean that the character herself.
Well, because I know sometimes they save money.
Sounds like different people.
They save money and put a double.
I know in season 1, Din Djarin or Pedro Pascal was barely in the suit.
This season, I don't think he's going to be here at all the entire season. I think he's just all voiceover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why they have the helmet rule.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh,
the voiceover.
So, yeah, and then just some of the way they have them deliver. Like, John, you and I talked about this. But it's all no contractions. This is how you play the game. There is one shot. And there's no, like, theirs or can't or anything like that.
I guess I didn't have problems with that.
It just doesn't sound like normal people to me. I think they're intentionally trying to sound, like, stoic and in the past. But it just doesn't fit. It doesn't sit for me. Maybe other people feel that way. If you do, let us know in the comments. But, like, for me personally, it just doesn't feel quite right. So, I don't know. Hopefully that sits better. Did you guys know what they meant when they said one does not speak unless one knows?
It's just part of the creed.
What does it mean?
So they were. If you've never experienced something, or if someone has never experienced something, they shouldn't speak on it. Like, basically, don't speak in ignorance.
Yeah, I guess.
That's kind of how I'm taking it, I guess.
Because the 2 times they said it was the one time after he said he's too young to say the creed, so he
shouldn't be fighting.
So he doesn't have to wear a helmet. And then Mando says to the kid, one doesn't speak unless one knows. So maybe he was telling the kid, like, you shouldn't talk about something you're unaware of. I don't know. But then shortly after the fight, Paz Vizsla and the armorer say the same thing. And I was just like, I don't know what they're trying to convey.
We need to rewatch that.
Yeah, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. So maybe we'll figure that out. I was confused by it.
The first time definitely made sense, but yeah, the second time was.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can gather.
I was just wondering what was going on. So that happened. All right, so Grogu beats the kid in a fight.
Beats him up.
And then out of nowhere, the Shriek Hawk.
Yeah, he like walks out to be all pouty.
Yeah, he's all by himself. Takes the kid. And they chase after it. And it was pretty cool seeing him taking it. Like, it was pretty terrifying. And I thought they did a good job of that. Very intense. And that chase was really interesting. Like, just how they amazingly shot. Is that not one of the coolest things you've seen in Star Wars? I felt like it looked pretty awesome. Like, as the dragon dives into the cave, at one point, he just, like, submerges down into the trench.
Yeah.
Oh, it was sick looking.
It was
a
good chase.
At the end, when Bo's ship is following it into the sun, amazing shots. There were some really, really cool shots in that whole sequence. The Mandalorians whipping around the turn. Really, really cool stuff. I mean, I was just like, this is awesome. But did you guys
It looked like it was from
See it, Dawson.
Grand Canyon, Colorado River.
It was all...
in Arizona.
Digital, man.
It kind of looked like they got drone footage.
Maybe they did something like that.
Looked like drone footage to me.
It's possible. Did you guys feel... Were you surprised at how quickly their jetpacks ran out of fuel?
Maybe they didn't refuel since last time.
Did you think that they didn't show the whole chase, maybe? Because there was, like, one wipe at one point during that process. And I was like, was that supposed to convey that some time has passed? Because they're chasing it, there's a wipe, and it cuts them chasing it somewhere, a different part of the canyon or whatever, or further on, and they start running out of fuel. So I was wondering if they were trying to convey time, because I just didn't think that the jetpacks would run out of fuel that quickly. Because that's a big limitation if that's the case. And we've seen some pretty long jetpack flights in the past, so...
I think it's just that they didn't refuel because they weren't expecting like they were gonna have to chase.
I thought about that too, but since they all kind of ran out at like the same time, I figured they probably all had the same fuel level. So I don't know.
Story convenience.
Yeah, I think it's just a plot thing more than a.
I just would like these things to be thought out pretty well. You know what I mean? I don't enjoy when I put more thought into things than the writers do. You know what I mean? I want my writers and directors to have put so much time and thought into everything that every time I have a question, it's answered. You know what I mean? Or
I want to rewind to the middle of Kenobi when you were defending that show and we were like, it doesn't make sense. And you're like, no, it's going to make sense. It's going to make sense.
Yeah, I thought that it would, though. I mean, because in that case, those were more so plot points that we thought we would hit on later on. It wasn't more so like
the fire.
Yeah, like the fire thing, I thought that was going to have a reason. I thought Vader was going to have We were going to learn that he intentionally let him go for a specific reason. Once we learned that wasn't the case, yeah, I was just as mad as you guys were. Like I was literally in disbelief. Like I was like, that would be so bad that it cannot possibly be what actually is happening.
I do remember you saying that.
Yeah, I was like, that literally can't be the case. He made the fire, and he dragged him through. Why couldn't he do it again? Oh, so stupid.
Don't go down the dark path.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways,
so really cool. A character did something that made sense.
The shot of
Bo's ship,
Bo-Katan, her ship in the sun with the thing chasing the thing. That was a cool shot.
It's cool. Yeah, it was.
It kind of felt like it was referencing. Does Top Gun have a shot like that? Some flying movie has a shot like that.
There's tons of shots like that in movies.
Pearl Harbor or something.
All kinds of war movies have like helicopters flying off into the sun.
Yeah, it just looked so cool, and it looked real. Like it legitimately real.
I'm pretty sure Batman Dark Knight, doesn't he like fly his ship into the sun like that?
Yeah, the last one.
Yep.
With the bomb.
Mm-hmm. It looks a lot like that. Very reminiscent.
He's the bomb.
He is the bomb himself. So, right away, with a sense of urgency, they say, we got to go. We got to start this mission. Go get this kid. And they get a
Unlike
party.
we didn't do for all the other ones. They're all just dead.
Well, apparently they don't have a spaceship or a fighter.
That doesn't make sense.
Because like you don't see any other ships. It seems like Bo and Mando are the only ones that have one.
It just doesn't make sense though.
Yeah.
How did they get there then?
I don't know. Jetpack.
Taxi. They were on that ring ship. Unless they were always there when they moved.
Yeah, but weren't they on that first planet too, Navarro or whatever?
Yeah.
The first season?
I guess we just haven't seen them. Maybe they're storing them in the cave. And they're out of gas.
They siphoned it to their jetpacks.
But no, it doesn't make sense. Because you would think that if this had continued to happen, they would get in their fighters, they would go blast the thing out of the sky, and settle. You know what I mean? Like, you literally have, like, fighter jets that you could just bomb the crap out of the thing. And be like, all right, we swatted the fly. We're done. Don't have to worry about the bee's nest anymore. But anyways, they continue. And they go to the nest. And they decide, that kid will be fine. Let's just camp out here under this rock. For a whole night. The kid was picked up by this thing that we know kills kids. And they just say,
the kid snatcher.
We'll wait till first light. We need to eat some dinner first and get some sleep. Did that
get some story? That's what we needed. They needed some story development because we now learn. They answered my question. Because remember the question I had last week?
I know, you did ask it. How do they eat?
So, and it seemed like just straight up helmet taking off was a straight up no-no. And they were just being kind of short with how they were saying it. And then they said, no, you just go to your own corner.
Which... Now, here's the second point. Is the most stupid thing you could do as an elite fighting force is just say, we're all going to go take off our armor, eat by ourselves, isolated, and not have anyone watching my back. I'm just eating, looking at my food. That would be the easiest way to take out them. Say, all right, wait till they eat, we'll all just stab them in the back. Oh,
this is the way.
But counterpoint, it's cheaper because they don't have to pay Pedro to be there all the time.
Yeah. I literally think, CJ, that this is what it is. You can pay him less for voice acting than actual acting.
I agree. John said it. I'm like, that has to be the reason. Yeah. There's no other way that this makes sense.
But, I mean, it does make sense for them to not show Pedro's face.
It doesn't make sense for them to show their face to each other, though. Like the whole never take your helmet off ever thing.
Yeah, because like the idea, if the idea is that it's to hide your numbers, like when you're with each other, you can't show your faces to each other.
No, but that's the thing, though. It's principle. It's like we were so burned by this that we need to keep our helmets on 24/7. We're not even going to show our faces to each other because we're so dedicated to this, because we were so burned by it. It's an extreme reaction to the Empire burning their civilization.
I think if they think people seeing their faces is the problem, and that was their reaction. They deserve to die out. They're stupid.
I agree. It is an extreme reaction that is not.
I actually was
I don't
under
think
the
it's-
impression that this sect had started before the Empire burnt them out, though. Because they grew up on the moons of Conquered Dawn, and he was living on that other moon, or not Conquered Dawn. That's Halo, isn't it?
No, I think it's.
No.
I think it's Concord Dawn.
But he grew up like this, and he grew up before the time of the Empire. Like he said, he hadn't taken his helmet off since he was like 5 years old, and that
Not
was
the Night's
that
Watch.
was
What do they
during
call him? Night Dawn.
the
Death
Children of the
Watch.
Watch. Children of the Watch. Yeah, we know it was because he joined them when he was like 5 years old. When the Separatists were attacking his village, and from that point, he never took his helmet off. So that was definitely during the Clone Wars, not the time of the Empire. 100%. So it was not an Empire reaction thing. It's just their belief.
Yes, but we clearly know that in Clone Wars they were fine with taking their helmets off.
Maybe, but that's what I'm saying. The Children of the Watch were not seen in Clone Wars. They did their own thing.
But there's no way they were not a part of Death Watch.
Why are the Children of the Watch Death Watch?
Paz Vizsla?
Yeah, but he could have
Pre-Vizsla?
He could have joined later, right?
Paz Vizsla could have joined later?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Also, interesting point too. You notice the armorer's name's never been said. All the other main characters have. Do you think that they're hiding that from us for a reason? Because it's someone we know.
Yeah, they're probably figuring that out themselves, I would imagine.
And that's, John, I wasn't going to bring that up this week. But that's my most frustrating thing with this show. We saw what happened in the sequels when we did not have a well-laid plan. And I started thinking about this earlier this week, before this episode even came out, about how Jon Favreau was currently writing season 4. Or maybe he's writing season 5. I don't remember which it is. But the fact that this show is not written to completion right now just bothers me, because it just means you're making it up as you go. And that's how several shows end up having bad endings. They don't have a plan. And then when the end finally comes, you're like, it doesn't really make sense or have the payoff that you're building towards something, you know? I would have an end point that I'm building to.
I would say to an extent I would agree with that, but also to an extent, as long as Filoni has planned out far enough, or Favreau has planned out far enough to where they have their bases covered today and have an overarching idea where it's going to go, I don't think you need to have...
I don't think you need to have every single point on how you're going to get there, but you should say, at the end of this show, I want this character to be here, I want this to have happened, these characters to be here, and this is what I want the end to be. So I know, as I'm developing my characters, what I need them to do so that the end point makes sense. Because if you just end things a certain way and you didn't build to that properly, then it just makes everything you've done so far feel like either a waste or like it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So I hope that they at least have that. I can't know for sure what they have behind closed doors, and maybe he is just writing out the details of the episodes. But I would hope that they have it. I think he says he plans to have more than 6 seasons. Like, we're entering the middle, he said right now.
Oh.
So that was he said.
I mean, yeah, Disney,
we're entering the middle.
Disney and Lucasfilm want their money. Like, they're gonna get their money.
I'm all
from
for
this show.
many seasons of this, but the thing is like Pedro Pascal is not getting any younger, and does his character not seem a lot younger than the actor is? Because Pedro's like in his 50s, and I feel like Mando doesn't seem like a seasoned veteran Mandalorian. You know, he seems like he's on the younger side of things. I feel like he's 20s? In his 30s, like early 30s.
Late. I would say like late 30s.
Yeah.
If he was what, like 10, 12 when he got taken? How long ago was that?
Oh, he was like 6. He was a very little kid during the Civil Wars. I think his character's supposed to be in his 30s, but the actor that plays him is well in his 50s.
Yeah, 30 years old.
Yeah. So that's just interesting. I mean, the voice plays out. It works.
Wait. No, 39 or 40 during The Mandalorian.
Okay. But I just feel like if he ever is outside of his helmet, like when he had his helmet off, it was weird. You know what I mean? In season 2, when he was just had his helmet off, I was like, it doesn't feel like that's the person that I've seen inside of this helmet, you know, that you imagine.
I didn't feel that way.
No. Well, they decide to climb up this cliff when morning comes, hoping this kid's still alive. Just praying. He's been in there for well over 12 hours. Easily over 12 hours. They hike up the mountain as quiet as they can. They get there. Paz Vizsla yells, "Here's my son!" and just runs across the thing.
Totally irrational.
Yeah. Now,
kind of weird.
I would say this, too. I didn't care if this kid lived or died the entire episode. Just had no connection to him whatsoever. If they had said it was Paz Vizsla's son early on, which we theorized before, I think I probably would have cared more. Because from that point on, I started to care a little bit more about the kid. I mean, if he died,
I don't even care about Paz Vizsla. He's kind of a jerk.
Me neither, but it just would have given you some connection. Like, oh, maybe if Mando saves them, then it can kind of restore their connection or something.
But then it's kind of like, oh, so you don't care about the other kids? There's someone.
Oh yeah, I mean, he definitely cares about his own son more, but we don't know that he didn't go after those other kids either. So, but anyways, that all happens, but we learn that at first you thought that the mama was coming back because she heard something, but that wasn't the case at all. As she's landing, she's just dropping off the kid to feed to the baby birds, which is like, why have you been holding off on feeding these things for 12 plus hours?
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
It made no sense. Like, you fly to the nest, Bo sees you go there, and then you're just like, all right, I'm just going to keep this thing in me, but not swallow him and digest him, and just fly around all night long just to come back and feed you in the morning. I'm just like, man, do editors not think that their fans are going to watch stuff and, like, think about it?
Also, how did the kid, like,
breathe?
The kid wasn't even grabbed up. Well, he wasn't even grabbed. He was grabbed by, like, the talon, right?
Yeah.
How did they, like, transfer that to its mouth without him dying?
I mean, he could have, like,
just dropped him in the nest
and picked him up.
Yeah, but if you pick him up, you're gonna, like, bite him in half.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, he's not gonna go in willingly.
I mean, and he was deep down in there. He was
in the gullet.
He was swallowed down, and he comes out bone dry, just like yelling, "Help! Help!" Not unconscious, just like he's just chilling in there, looking around. No oxygen
how long did
support.
Boba Fett survive in the Sarlacc?
Yeah, but he had oxygen reserves in his suit, and he's wearing Beskar and stuff. This kid's wearing clothes, and has no way to breathe. It made no sense. No sense whatsoever. And Boba, I would argue, wasn't even in the Sarlacc as long as this kid was.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was rough.
You don't think Boba Fett was in there for 2-3 days?
I'm sure there's an official time, but I don't think he was, no. I don't think he'd be unconscious that long. Wouldn't make sense. I think he woke up pretty quick. And
a few days maximum.
Yeah.
Per Screen Rant. 5 years.
5 years.
They're saying the difference between.
So yeah, those are like my main issues. It just was stuff that just kept making me say, "That's dumb. That's dumb. That's dumb." And I'm not usually like that. I usually sit back and watch episodes.
You're usually pretty easy.
Yeah, and I'll just enjoy it and have fun with it. But just this episode took me out of stuff, and
Fun fact:
it makes no sense.
I don't know if you guys noticed when the Mandalorians were climbing with their ropes.
Oh yeah,
their ropes. No. Their ropes were just disappearing into thin air.
Yes,
as their hand would go over. The rope would literally just disappear in their hand.
So I was thinking maybe they were just retracting back into their thing.
But they weren't.
No.
Because the ropes would change hands. It'd go like this. And then in between there, it would disappear.
So what was it? CG or something?
Yeah. I don't even, or they just went.
Because I was looking at something. I was trying to figure out what was going on. I knew something was weird. But what I thought was stupid is in every time we've seen someone shoot a grappling hook in Star Wars, they just zip up.
Yeah.
And Bo even has done that with her grappling hook. She zipped things and pulled it to her. It zips back. Why could these ones not do that?
Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous.
I was like, for the first time ever in Star Wars, they can't grapple. I was like, whatever. It's 50-year-old technology, at minimum, that we've seen in Star Wars. Okay. Well, that's that part of the story. Shall we get to Grogu? I don't know. They get the kid. Yay.
Well, the end.
3 baby pterodactyls.
Yeah.
Well, but then we have the scene with Bo and the armor, and she's kind of like pushes it off like, oh, yeah, you had a vision.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. I think we
Congratulations.
talk about Grogu first, and then we can talk
Okay,
about that.
sure.
But I mean, the fight scene was cool as they got him. Like some of the choreography where he actually like shot his not grapple thing, but what do they call those things that trap people's feet?
Bola.
Yeah, he shot his bola around the wing of the pterodactyl, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Just like let it drown in the water. Kind of mean.
Yeah, and then always a bigger fish comes and takes care of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But that was actually a pretty cool scene. Like him flying with that jetpack, it showed he really has mastered it, and it was a pretty sweet scene. Just that whole thing, the choreography of him flying with the knife and stabbing it in the foot to get the kid. Now I will give it. I'll give him props. That was the action in this episode was pretty cool. We get to Grogu, and the armor decides to take him across to
give him some PTSD.
Some PTSD. I hope with it, Grogu never like is at a funeral, and we have to watch him like leave a funeral because I'll just be laughing the whole time because of the way he walks. Like I'm like, oh no, Din died. He's like, me. He better
puppet.
They better put him in the floaty thing so he doesn't have to walk and just make me laugh because it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. But we get to see Order 66, a continuation of the episode of the flashback that we saw in Book of Boba Fett when Luke is talking to Grogu. And there have been so many theories, about all of this, and we were all wrong. It's kind of, I felt like Rian Johnson, he's like, your Snoke theory sucks. I feel like Jon Favreau was like, your Grogu theory sucks.
I would imagine, because when did that show come out with Keller and Beck?
A few years ago.
Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge. Let's see when it came out. I would imagine they had this in the wings for
you think
a
so?
while.
Because I was wondering about that. I was
came out June 3rd, 2020. So that's season 1 of Mandalorian. When we don't even know that, like, not even season 2 of Mandalorian when Ahsoka.
Yeah, but do you think they had ever planned on, like, for sure doing this who rescued Grogu kind of thing? Do you think they had that locked up?
I think so.
That refers to what I talked about last year. How much of this do they have planned in advance?
I think that's planned in advance just because inherently, if you have a 50-year-old youngling, they went through Order 66. So they have to.
What do you think, Grogu, CJ? Do you think that they've known who would rescue Grogu this whole time? And they think they knew it was Keller and Beck? Or do you think they just said someone rescues him and then they picked him this season?
I don't know. I don't know that it makes that big of a difference, honestly. I think this is about...
Yeah. I guess we just are better writers.
No, we should be what they're called, editors.
Yes, exactly. I think that's honestly what they lack, is a good editing team.
We look at the product
and say,
and then we say, no, you need to fix this hole.
Yeah. And it's not that it was good. I was cool to see him. I really like seeing Ahmad Best back, especially with the way that things went during Phantom Menace. I was glad to see him, and I think it was a perfectly fine character to have rescue Grogu. It honestly was. It was cool to watch. He fought pretty cool. Still, the lightsaber choreography, I feel like they're having issues figuring out like the timing of how quickly they swing lightsabers and stuff.
And Disney still doesn't know how lightsabers work. Like when this made me a little nitpicky. When a lightsaber reflects a blaster, there's no sparks.
Yeah, never has been before.
They just Disney loves the sparks on lightsabers.
There's no metal.
There's no spark. There's never been a
indicates
spark.
Something flying off, and there shouldn't be.
Anytime a lightsaber hits plastic armor, spark. Anytime a lightsaber hits another lightsaber, spark. Anytime blaster hits a lightsaber, spark. And it's just
that doesn't happen in Jedi
why?
Fallen Order, right? I don't think so. EA doesn't do that.
No.
EA was like explicitly told if you're gonna make a Jedi character, you have to make lightsabers correctly. So they were very Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm and ILM were like.
I always thought the lightsaber blades looked really weird. Like they looked kind of translucent, kind of like Wish lightsabers. The blade itself.
They're a hard thing to do, and the thing is too is they're not totally CGing it like they used to. Like the ones that Anakin and Obi-Wan were using, they were whacking stuff really hard with them. And breaking. Yeah. They were using sticks, and then in post, everything was edited in later. Well, the ones they're using now actually are glowing, and they're editing partial things in post.
Well, because I think and they're changing it to be technically correct, Because if you look behind you, those lightsabers, the center of every lightsaber way back when, through the prequels, is white.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it's white is because the camera gets overexposed from the middle of the blade because the light itself,
So
no matter
hot,
what
yeah.
color it is, it's so bright.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, a lightsaber doesn't have white. It'll all just be the color,
Mm-hmm.
which, sure, it's correct, but we're so used to that
it being
look
white, yes.
that I think it just looks better.
It does. It looks crisper.
So in the video game, it's like that where that center, the blade
Is
of
white.
it's not white.
Oh, it's not?
It's more of like if you're green, it's like a lighter green,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no true white.
Yes.
So then it makes it kind of look.
But it should be stark white, in my opinion.
Yes, in my opinion as well, to make it look like it's always looked,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily proper.
Yeah. It's a very nitpick thing, but overall, I thought that whole scene was pretty cool. I really liked the chase scene through Coruscant. And also all those clones being live action as well. They looked awesome.
Yeah.
Which in, Revenge of the Sith, all the clones were CG.
Mm-hmm.
So
Every single one of them.
having them all be live action, I thought was pretty cool. And they looked great. They reminded me very much of the Revenge of the Sith clones, like the way they held their blasters and stuff. There was one scene where the guy's like holding his gun to the side,
walking a little,
which makes
swaddle.
no sense actually, like to hold your gun down there like that, unless you're holding like a machine gun or a minigun.
Which they never hold it down there in Clone Wars.
No, never.
It's always proper.
But in Revenge of the Sith, for some reason they do. So I don't know. At least a few.
They probably had someone doing the CG modeling that
didn't
know
know about guns.
guns very
This
well.
looks about right. So,
That's the 501st for you, those average clones. Do you think? I bet you Ahmed Best was from Naboo.
do you think that's what it was?
Keller and Beck. I think Keller and Beck was from Naboo.
I was wondering about that. At first, I honestly thought Jar Jar was going to run out.
So
like, Miss Hapa isn't Miss Plana.
don't call me racist, but I saw the dark skin and immediately thought Mace Windu, which wouldn't have made any sense. But that was the first thought that came to mind, probably because of last week, the episode of Bad Batch.
Oh yes, Fat Mace. If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch Star Wars Theories stream. Hilarious.
Or just watch the Bad Batch episode. You've seen it for yourself.
Yes. I did too, John. For like half a second, if that.
Yeah. And then I saw, it's
Ahmed Best. But
Ahmed Best.
it was good. I thought that his whole sequence was cool. Do you think we're going to be getting more? Or is that more or less going to wrap up Grogu's flashback? I think you have to kind of find out, like what happened from there.
I don't know if I care, personally.
At this point, I don't know that it matters anymore. I thought that it was going to be a really interesting story, but I don't actually think they have that good of a story wrapped up. Like, I was always theorizing someone intentionally rescued him for some priority reason. Like there was something special about him. Like either maybe Palpatine had something to do with it, or the Jedi knew that Palpatine couldn't get their hands on him.
Which, if you think about it, there's 4 Jedi, at least knights, Padawan to knight, protecting, and a Jedi Master nearby protecting Grogu.
But they also planned on more than just Grogu getting there, because the guy was like, "Where are the rest?" And he's like, "There are no others." So they weren't just planning on saving Grogu; they were planning on multiple people going there. So
yeah, that's fair.
I think I don't know that he was the main priority. It's possible that there was, but I couldn't really interpret that. So I'm starting to think that he just escaped, and then somehow, somewhere, the Empire picked him up as a Force sensitive, and that's the reason they grabbed him. So I don't know that there's actually that much of a story there. I had thought that there would be, but again, I just don't know that they thought it out, or maybe that's just not what they wanted to focus on. Because if you start telling that story, you're taking up more of your 8 episodes.
Yeah.
So.
And then you're turning into a flashback show, which I don't think that's what this show needs to be.
Yeah.
Having flashbacks every episode.
No, I definitely don't want it every episode. Something here and there is cool. But I don't want every time someone gets a new piece of armor to have a flashback like we did in season 1. I didn't like the flashback does either.
Nope.
For Book of Boba Fett. I mean, even though in my opinion that was the more interesting part of the story.
Yeah.
But it just made the secondary part of the story, which really should have been the primary part of the story, just awful. Like we got no time in actual modern day Tatooine with Boba Fett. So All right,
Kind of like the show. We're focusing on other shows.
today. Yeah.
Do you both have a problem with that? I don't personally have a problem with that because we're still within the realm of
Dude,
Mandalorian.
I don't have a problem with it. We're talking
Okay.
about Star Wars, and there are 3 people watching us.
No. I'm talking about the show Mandalorian. People are saying, "Oh, it's focusing on other people more than Mando."
Oh. CJ, you go first. My voice is tired.
I mean, no, as long as they don't spread it out too thinly. I don't know, like the way that they've kind of set up Din, to be honest, he's not that interesting. Like,
Now, yeah, there's really like, where do you go?
yeah. So
He's just a dad.
unless they want to give him some kind of motive, like even with protecting Grogu has been his whole thing, but as far as like personal development, I don't
Yeah.
feel like he's had a ton.
After season 2, I said that Din Djarin has no conflict in his life right now. There's no conflict driving our hero forward. No decision he has to make. So right at this point, Bo-Katan is the much more interesting character to me. Like,
I agree.
I'm way more interested in her than I am in Din Djarin right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to the idea of having other characters in the show. I mean, Andor was called Andor, and there were lots of episodes that were about other things and scenes. I think that maybe
Which
the best
I don't think that show should have been called Andor.
I don't think it was
Should
properly
not have
titled
been
either.
called Andor.
I agree.
No way.
I thought Luthen was I thought Andor was a good character. Don't get me wrong, but Luthen was a great character in that show.
Birth of the Rebellion, birth of
sure.
Dawn of the Lightness,
Rebels
I don't know, something.
2.0.
Something
Yes.
clever.
Yes.
Empire awakens, Empire dissolves,
Something like that. Spies, rebel spies.
Rebel
Many-
spies.
Many Bothans. But no, I don't hate that, but I do think it detracts from your main character if he doesn't get the time and the development that you need. Like, if we're supposed to care about Mando more than anyone else in the show, he has to get the proper treatment. So I think it's a two-edged sword, you know?
And honestly, where we know everything's going to Thrawn with Ahsoka. It's just that's what we know.
Mhm.
Mando Din Djarin has no beef
With Thrawn.
with Thrawn.
No. He could
Bo has beef with Thrawn, just
It's-
inherently.
It's similar to the Bad Batch, where like they could just totally live their life and no one would care. You know what I mean? If Bo or if Din and Grogu wanted to go off and live their life and just say, "Yep, we're just gonna go chill," they could. And same with Bad Batch. If they actually wanted to just go live on that island, they totally could. But they continue to get into these fights with just random things and people, and it's not actually like a conflict, you know? Even the thing that happened with the spider monster on Mandalore, it wasn't actually like a conflict, it was just like an accident, you know?
Yeah.
And same thing with this monster. There's no actual real story conflict, it's just an accident. So we're not seeing anything really happen for our character that is the titled character.
So it's kind of sad that we have to go to outside resources, but we'll go to Lego for this one.
Always
There's a
reliable.
set coming out.
I saw that. I saw this.
There's a set coming out. It's going to be Bo-Katan's Mandalorian Starfighter and a TIE Interceptor. However, Lego has released, not physically released, but released all the pictures and the listings of these sets as they have come into the show the following week. So early on, we had the Pirate Starfighter showed up in episode 1. The following week, we had the listing release, the pictures release. Then we had the spider creature and Bo-Katan and Mando fighting it, and then we had the following week.
What did they call that
released.
droid? Did they call it Spider Mech or something like that?
Yeah, they called it Spider Tank.
Yeah.
So there's another rumored set, and it's pretty much a given. They know what it is. Mandalorian Starfighter versus TIE Interceptor. It hasn't released yet, even though we've already seen those two ships. So we know they are coming at some point.
Mm-hmm. Well,
which probably means some kind of Empire.
But didn't we have a Mandalorian and TIE Interceptor?
Which that's the point, is that already happened in the show, but they didn't release the official pictures for the set.
I just think that might mean they just haven't released it yet. I mean, I'm sure we'll see him again, though. It wouldn't make sense to show him once and not have him again. There was definitely foreshadowing.
Yeah, I would very much hope so. But as we've discussed, based on the story,
we sometimes think that
they're
doing more than they're going to. So
we don't know.
Yeah.
Before we get too far away from Ahmed Best, I need to air some beef with the internet. People have been saying all over that this is Ahmed Best's redemption arc. And I personally don't like that because you're implying or you're insinuating that Ahmed Best did something to need redemption. Whereas we all would agree in playing Jar Jar, there was nothing needing of redemption in playing that character. If anything, it's a comeback story. It's not a redemption arc.
I don't think that they were saying he did something wrong.
I know that's not what but when you say someone has a redemption arc, Thrawn's going to have a redemption arc. Mando's not going to have a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just...
Actually, he did have a redemption arc. He went back to the mines of Mandalore.
So...
And they actually called him getting redeemed.
Which I did see this tweet where they said more or less the same thing, but said he doesn't deserve a redemption arc. He deserves an apology, which I think is very accurate. Because the people who are calling... I'm going to make a generalized statement because there's 3 people watching. That the people that are saying this is his redemption arc are the people that made fun of him and hated him for playing Jar Jar.
Right.
So, like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jar Jar was an awful character, but it wasn't his fault. He just did what he was told.
I liked the as a kid. You found him annoying.
I don't remember. He definitely wasn't my favorite. I think
probably because you didn't watch Phantom Menace. Did you watch Phantom Menace a lot?
Oh yeah, all the time, time. I do remember we would always joke and talk like Jar Jar and stuff. So I think our family thought it was funny when we were kids. So I'm sure we did. I mean, growing up, I was just now when I watched Phantom Menace, I'm like, ugh, please stop.
I see where people come from, but regardless, I'm like, yeah,
it doesn't bother me. Whatever.
There are definitely things that bother me more in Star Wars than Jar Jar Binks, but I guess people hated him. But I understand though, like if you're an adult that watched, Star Wars when you were a kid, and then you get to Star Wars and you're like, what is this? This is not Star Wars. This has never been Star Wars. Why is this what we're seeing? This is ridiculous. It would be. I understand being frustrated, but Star Wars, George said himself, is always made for kids. And if
frustrated with the council.
If we're going to be adults that are watching something that's intended for kids, we have to be okay with stuff being a little bit childish. So, yeah. All right. Anything else?
The end of the episode.
Yeah.
Bo says, "So what if I saw Mythosaur?" And then the armor says, "Oh, that would have been a great vision." She's like, "No, I actually saw it." And then she didn't believe. No, I don't think she believed her.
Do you think that's what it was? Because at the end she just says it was, but it was real, and she says this is the way. Biggest cop out, in Star Wars. Just whenever you know what to say, just say this is the way, and then no one knows what the heck you mean.
Because Howard, that's ridiculous to say that you saw a Mythosaur. If you think about it, that's like.
Oh yeah, they thought it's like me saying I saw a dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah. Lay off the death sticks.
So, but what do you think she means, though? I mean, because Bo probably seemed pretty convinced, and she just says this is the way. Do you think she's saying, you just had a vision. It seemed very real to you?
The armor or Bo?
The armor.
Yeah. I would go with that. And I don't know if early on, and I don't know if we talked about this last week or when, but instead of Bo thinking that, and I'll just reiterate it if not, instead of Bo hiding it from Din, I think she just didn't know if she saw what she saw.
Yeah, like she might have just questioned.
Like, hey, you saw that thing, right? And he's like, no, I didn't see anything. She's like, oh, okay, Instead of, you didn't see anything, right?
Yeah.
Good.
I just think she was just like confused, just like, what the heck did I just see?
And now she's kind of, as she's seen the Mythosaur sculpture.
I think she's convinced that she saw it for real.
And now no one's believing her. So,
do you guys think she has any motives of what she's going to do?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think she has ill intent. I think if she tames it, she'll expect the right that comes with it, and that's fair game.
I don't know. It's just hard to read her. Like, CJ, do you think that she's still planning or wanting to rule Mandalore, or do you think she's given up on that at this point, or even temporarily? Maybe
tried to do it for so long. I think that she'll always kind of want to do it. I think writing wise, this may be the way for them to give her a claim without having to get the Darksaber from Din, but I don't know. We'll see.
Suppose we will. All right. Overall rating, I'm gonna give it. If it weren't for the issues I had with it, I'd probably give it like a 7.5 to 8. Because it was fun. The action was pretty good, but the story I thought was lacking, and all the little nitpicks I had that I felt were poor writing and poor editing. I'm probably gonna give it a 6.5. Personally,
I'll give it a 7.5.
CJ,
I'll give it a 6. Thought it was
6.
fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're lower on it than I was.
IMDb gave it an 8.1.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it.
I just honestly, I didn't have as many nitpicks as you, but halfway through, I just didn't care.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The whole time I was watching it the first time, I will say, caveat, the first time I watched it was during my lunch break at school, and I was in a bad mood. And I watched it, and I never got out of bad mood. I was just like, this sucks. And then I watched it the second time, and I was able to find some redeeming qualities in it. Like, I was like, okay, this action actually is really cool. But I had to, look for stuff to enjoy about it. You know what I mean? But just face value, watching it the first time, I was just like, I'm just not enjoying it. And I was excited to watch. I was like, I need something to brighten up my day. That's like I was having a bad day or anything, but just, I don't know. You when you're in a funk a little bit. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully this thing starts to pick up pace a little bit and really start diving into some story. I have some hope if they're going to put 51 minutes into Dr. Pershing, or 58 minutes, whatever it was. I do hope that
37.
The Dr. Pershing episode, I mean.
Oh, yeah. He had 37 minutes of screen time.
But it was like a 55-minute episode or something like that.
2.
Yeah. So hopefully these last 4 episodes will have some more screen time. But we've been saying that for 2 years now, or 2 seasons, 4 years. So hopefully, but I'm going to not really rely on that very much. But Bad Batch this week. Really solid.
What happened? Crosshair got taken.
Crosshair was taken and tortured, and they're trying to find Omega because they need Omega to be able to control, not Nala Se. Or no, it is Nala Se. It's not Tonwi. Nala Se. Right? It's Nala Se.
Was a chemical and female doctor and scientist. Yes.
Nala Se, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they need to control her, and they need Omega to do that. So they torture Crosshair to get him to give up his comrades, but he doesn't know where they are. And I think even if he did, he wouldn't tell them. As soon as he gets an opportunity, though, he does try to escape and sends out a message saying, what did he call it? Order 88?
Yeah.
Plan 88.
Plan 88.
Yep.
Which is people are looking for him.
Yep, which means you're being targeted. So that was cool. We got to see him really devote to it, and pretty much he knew he wasn't escaping. He knew there was no way I'm getting out of here. I'm not even trying to escape. I'm just trying to get a message, risking his life for them. That's honestly what he was doing there. So really excited to see what develops with Crosshair. We've seen so much happen to him in so little screen time. Honestly, he's had 2 episodes of him. 2 episodes and then this, and he's developed so much. So I'm very interested to see what happens with him in the finale next week.
I was kind of surprised he went soft and didn't just cap the doctor lady, the scientist lady.
Well, she's kind of been trying to soften the blow on him.
But he capped everyone else.
Yeah, you don't shoot girls in the face if they're not wearing a helmet.
In the show or
if they're wearing a helmet, you can shoot them in the
Crosshair?
face. No. In the show.
Dang.
Because he just shot that guy point blank right in the face.
Yeah.
But then, the clones that attacked the transport in the episode earlier were shooting all the stormtroopers with stuns again.
Yeah.
And I had always thought they would just shoot clone troopers with stuns because they were their brothers, but they were shooting stormtroopers with stuns, and I just didn't know how I felt about that. So
They're nice. They're nice guys.
I guess.
He stunned that one commando.
Yes, they did. I stunned him several times. Again, every time it's a commando, I'm just always looking for it to be the ones from the Republic Commando video game. I'm like, come on, show me Sev, show me Scorch or someone. But
Didn't they in Clone Wars?
they
Season
did.
7?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you know they're out there. I mean, maybe not. They could be dead. We've seen Fixer a few times. So
Fixa. Oh, well, what's his name was in this? Gregor.
Gregor was in it. Yep,
Yeah.
from Clone Wars. It was cool to see him again, and we know that he stays with Rex.
Yeah.
So seeing Gregor there.
Rex and Wolf. Which
Echo
Wolf
was there.
wasn't there?
No, but we did see Captain
Hauser.
which he was in season 1.
With the sick fade.
Yeah, I like that character. He was always cool. So he was a very cool looking clone on Ryloth last season. He had
Had
some
the
of the,
scar.
some of the best clone armor that I've seen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I
It was like
his-
that
the
kind
light
of...
blue, aqua
Yeah.
blue. Yeah, he's a cool looking clone.
Yeah.
Um,
What was I going to say?
fine scene, but just I think more so the development of Crosshair was what was important here, and it's kind of just setting up what's going to be the finale next week, which is my guess
Someone dying.
someone dying, or one of two things are going to happen. They're going to find Omega, and then they're going to have to go get him, or go get her, and no Crosshair is there, because right now they don't know where Crosshair is, because what they were able to take from the deleted data was gone, or incomplete. So they don't know where he is. So I feel like someone's going to find him, my guess.
I'm going to call it right now. That doctor guy is going to be played in live action by Sam Witwer.
It does look a lot like him.
I'm calling it right now.
You think they did that on purpose? Is he
Yes.
voiced by Sam Witwer?
No. He's voiced by, remember the guy from Psych? Mary.
Oh, yes.
He was in
Yes.
the Yin Yang episodes.
You talked about him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Sam
feel like
Witwer
if
could
that
do
was
that,
the
a voice
idea,
like that, no problem.
I feel if that were the idea, they would have just had Sam do it.
Yeah.
Has Sam ever done any live action acting?
Oh, yeah.
For what?
He was in Being Human. He was in Smallville for like a season.
Who was he in Smallville?
He was Doomsday. The guy that turned into Doomsday.
Oh, was that late in the show?
Yeah, it was season
Oh,
8.
okay. I don't remember the late seasons very well.
Yeah, no, he's really good live action.
Interesting.
And Force Unleashed was mocap.
Yeah, Force
Basically.
is fantastic. But yeah, I'm excited for the finale. It is next week, right? There's 15 episodes, not 16, or is there 16?
I think there's
feel,
six.
There's
yeah,
two
I
mo-
feel like there's got to be 2 more. One more doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's got to be.
They
2
might
more.
release them both, but
Yeah, yeah. You know, they may as well because it's overlapping with Mando, so it's not like they're gonna get an extra week of subscriptions out of it. So, but yeah, I liked the episode. It was good. This show really ramps things up.
Yes, 16 episodes, features a 2-episode premiere, also with a 2-episode finale.
Okay,
So we
we'll
might
probably
get
2
2 next
episodes
week?
Next week, that's my guess. That is what they did with the Camino last season, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Have they announced the Bad Batch season 3?
No.
So this potentially.
Well, they didn't announce season 2 since forever ago. Or no, that was the beginning of the show.
No, they announced season 2 like pretty early on.
Though, but they delayed it. They delayed it a
got
lot.
delayed a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think they accidentally announced it for May 4th.
Yeah, last
Last year.
which is crazy. We're getting it like a year later. But do you think it's possible that this could be the end of the Bad Batch?
yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. Because it's not like that.
They can't really
it's not
go
hitting
on.
that hard.
You don't see Echo with Rex, so Echo could easily die. You know what? He probably is the one that dies at least.
Yeah, because he just left and they made a huge deal about Omega being obsessed with him.
Yeah, and we know he's not with Rex. He is the one that it makes sense to die.
And he just came back for a little bit.
Yeah. I bet he's the one. I don't know how I didn't think of that before. I've been thinking it'd be Tech this whole time, or Crosshair.
Tech now has a lady to love, so
Crosshair's a good guy again. It better not be Crosshair. He's the most interesting character in the story.
Yeah. I like Crosshair.
Better than better than Wrecker?
Oh my god.
Just barely.
Dude, I was talking to someone today. One of the guys I coach baseball with, he's a big fan of the show.
Our show?
He does watch. But he said he wants to be on sometime. I said, oh, maybe. We'll see.
We'll have to screen him.
No, he's a good guy. We could trust him not to be an idiot. But he was like, oh, this episode was great. I was like, what? Oh, really? I thought it was good. He's like, oh, yeah, it's awesome. Omega had like 2 lines. I loved it.
Yeah, but she was an all-star in this episode. She was doing all this crazy stuff, and she's never flown a ship before.
She's flown before. She's trained before for sure. They've done training scenes of her flying. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the season she did training scenes of her flying.
No, that was tech flying. Remember the little crab things?
The tick ton.
The crab things?
Yeah, and he was showing her how to do stuff.
But then he took over. She was hanging. No, she was hanging by the rope thing.
Okay.
I don't think she was flying.
Well, whatever. Who knows? I hope they don't show us every single Omega training scene. Please.
We can gladly take that one.
They can have some of those off screen. I'm okay with that. But yeah, good show.
Good show, Mike. Good show.
I saw an Instagram reel today that had the top 10 IMDb ranked episodes all time. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it.
Disagree.
Did you see them?
You sent it to me.
Okay, I couldn't remember if I sent it to you or not. All right, I want to know what you disagree on, so I'll walk through it right now.
Well, Andor, obviously.
Did you actually hate the show that much?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it above anything else that I liked for Star Wars.
Oh, man, I thought that was such
I might watch Kenobi before I would watch Andor again, honestly.
Really?
Just because Ewan McGregor.
No.
Not because it's good. Just because Ewan McGregor.
I cannot disagree more. All right, so here's what IMDb had as the highest rated. Number 10, Rebels Jedi Knight. That's the one where Kanan sacrifices himself. Andor One Way Out was number 9. The Clone Wars The Wrong Jedi. That's where Ahsoka gets framed. At number 8.
And that's got Barriss and Anakin duking out with Barriss.
Oh, yeah, and Anakin just goes nuts on Barriss, like full dark side. The Lawless 9.7. That's where Darth Maul kills Duchess Satine. So,
yeah.
9.7 out of 10. What a gripping episode. Just as I was watching this, I was like, there were so many episodes of the Clone Wars that were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just where you're like, as a little kid, just like, oh my gosh. Except you guys watch
and you've
adults.
Got Palpatine goes and shows
fights
Darth Maul
and
Asajj
Ventress.
Puts him in their place.
So many of these Mandalorian episodes that are on here, almost all of them. I'm sorry, not Mandalorian. All these Clone Wars episodes, almost all of them were on
Mando arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those were great.
They were so good, dude.
Even the scene where it's Obi-Wan with the Mando armor on,
and he's got his lightsaber,
and then it does the side tilt,
the
Dutch tilt,
and then everyone's like flying past, and you just got this huge battle going on. Oh, it was amazing. At number 6, Clone Wars Old Friends Not Forgotten. It's the first episode we saw with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka being reunited in the last season of Clone Wars. Also, I think it was the
fourth episode of that arc.
That was the first episode of that arc.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then he goes off and tries to save Palpatine.
Yeah. And
like the clones all have their Ahsoka armor on and stuff. And that episode ends with Ahsoka going into the cave and Maul's waiting for her down there, thinking it would be Kenobi.
Yes.
Great episode.
Why?
That's where Ahsoka's...
you here?
That might be one of my favorite combat scenes in Clone Wars history.
I was hoping for Kenobi.
Thanks. Very sultry, John, right in my ears.
Was it loud?
Yes. But that might be one of my favorite combat sequences in Clone Wars is Ahsoka just like flying and running along the ships as they're crash landing.
Oh yeah, I drew that.
You drew it?
Somewhere.
Oh, really?
Where'd I put it?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Clearly you haven't gone to my YouTube channel.
I've seen a lot of your videos. Is that where she lands?
Her face is a little crooked.
Yeah, it's a little round. That's good. Is that where she's landing? Is that this right here?
I would guess so.
Is that supposed to be this?
It looks similar.
Johnny boy?
Yep, that's the one.
All right, the next one at number 5 is Rebels: Twilight of the Apprentice Part 2. That's where what's his name? Not Kanan. Ooh, my ear itches.
Darth Vader and Ahsoka fight.
Darth Vader and Ahsoka fight, and then you have Maul there, and
With Ezra.
Maul and Kanan are kind of arguing over Ezra. Also a great episode.
And then they have to fight the flying helicopter.
Oh, the worst part of that whole thing is
Yeah.
they're just hovering around the Sith temple, just like oh man, worst decision maybe ever made in Star Wars animation. Terrible. Number 4, Mandalorian Chapter 16 at a 9.8 out of 10. Luke showing up. Felt like that made sense. This is just TV show episodes, not like
Yes.
movies. That was fantastic. So then Clone Wars 9.9 is Shattered. That's when the clones all turn on Ahsoka.
Yes. And they have a lot of crisscrossing with ROTC, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. ROTC?
Revenge of the
Clones.
Revenge of the Sith.
ROTC is the Army officer training for college kids. That episode is great. And then the Phantom Apprentice is 2, where Maul's trying to convince Ahsoka to join him.
So basically that whole arc.
That whole arc. and I fully agree. That's the thing. That's the point I wanted to get at.
The Siege of Mandalore arc is what it is.
And that's when she fights him, fights Maul, and then Victory and Death is the one. Oh no, I had it vice versa. The Phantom Apprentice is where Ahsoka fights Maul. Victory and Death is where the clones betray her and she escapes with Rex.
Oh yeah, and that's the final.
That's the final
episode
of Clone Wars. So as I watched through this, I couldn't think of anything I'd argue with. I was just like, "Yep."
Andor
yep,
kicked to the curb.
Well, you're just a crazy person, but
it's just that I can think of. I'd rather watch Meeber Gascon go through the desert
no way,
for hours.
John. The No Way Out
watch
episode
Andor show
alone
again.
was good, was it not? Where they're escaping the prison? That was fantastic.
Andy Serkis was good. Yeah.
He
Take
was.
out Andy Serkis and put anyone else in there, and it's a horrible episode.
I can't disagree. But he was in there.
He should have been with Snoke.
He was Snoke. That was the Snoke's origin story.
he couldn't swim.
He got
I
left
hate
behind.
sand.
They're like, well, we got one dude left. You're going to be the emperor from now on.
I hate sand. It's cold. It's wet. Water's wet. No, I hate water.
David's not
It
here,
gets
so
everywhere.
you feel like you got to be the one to see all the weird stuff today?
Me?
Yeah.
The weird stuff.
Yeah, where's this coming from? I hate cold. It's sandy.
No, I meant to say like Anakin. I hate water instead of I hate sand.
Oh, I was not making a connection there.
Yeah, because I messed it up. That's Snoke's origin
Do you see
story.
the David connection now? Where
Yes, I see
David
it.
says stuff, and I'm just like, what are you talking about, dude?
I took too many. I've been working too much.
It's okay. It's all right. Anyways, well, you guys want to watch that trailer?
Yeah. And then we can talk about, while you're pulling it up, the news with the Star Wars movie. They got new writers.
Oh, I know. Again, dude. The guy,
but it's
he
the guy
backed
that
out.
wrote but it's the guy that wrote Peaky Blinders.
Oh, that makes me very happy. Maybe one of my all-time favorite.
Is
shows.
the writer? Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So it's good, but he's
gonna
it's
back out
good
too.
if he can. Probably, it's good if he can do what he wants.
Well, that's the thing. It's not gonna happen. That's why this guy left
he's-
again. Whatever his name was, I don't remember. But he was like, I feel like if it can't be great, it shouldn't be done. Which I love that sentiment. I 100% agree. That's so. What was the guy's name that just backed out last week?
Lindelof,
Yes, David Lindelof, right?
maybe.
I don't remember. But he was the planned writer. What's up, Slimy Sauce? He was the planned writer
Damon.
to Damon Lindelof. That's right. Be our
Lindelof,
next writer for the next Star Wars movie. That was the plan. After Patty Jenkins backed out, after Ryan Johnson backed out, after
No, this is a completely different movie.
I know, but this was supposed to be the next one.
Oh yeah.
Because Patty Jenkins was supposed to be the next one. Taika
Yeah.
Waititi thing, who knows what's going to actually happen. They're all doing these other projects. Like, Star Wars is on the back burner for all of them. So this guy was like, you're the next Star Wars movie at the end of 2024, or was it 2025? 2025. And then he backs out of it. This past Sunday, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And
No,
pretty
Monday.
much-
Monday of this week.
Yeah, pretty much said, I wanted to make Star Wars great. It was truly
Make Star Wars great again
It
was
was
his
truly
mantra.
amazing when I was a kid. And as we were going through the production process, I did not feel that it was going down a path that it was going to have that feel. And maybe it's
You can
something
share
that
your
can't
screen
be captured
at
again.
any moment.
Oh, I'm not showing it yet. Maybe it's not something that can be captured again. But I don't feel that
He didn't feel like he could be the writer he could be. He should be.
Obi-Wan was holding him back.
Yeah.
He wanted more, but he shouldn't.
Kathleen Kennedy was holding him back.
Yes. Okay, let me go ahead.
He's just frustrated with the board.
Share screen.
See, you got that one. That was a decent one. Even though I messed it up a little bit.
I mean, I understand. I just I need to move this over here.
Yes, you do. We're not on screen, but that's fine.
No, but you guys can hit start at the same time as me. Do you guys have it ready?
Oh, I'm just watching your stream, so
okay.
there's
yeah.
gonna be a
Just pull
second
it up
delay.
Just
But
pull it up on YouTube there, Siege.
Okay.
I mean, you've seen it already, but all right. So Jedi Fall or Jedi Survivor launched a new trailer. Here you go.
whoa, great!
It's been a long 5 years. We've tried to resist. Fear and mistrust rule the galaxy.
Cal, look into the fire.
Glad to have Maren
It
alongside
will
again.
warm you, keep you company. But left unchecked, it will consume everything
This part's cool.
until there is only ash.
How could you let the galaxy fall to this unworthy machine of an empire?
Hope may feel beyond our grasp,
Whoa.
but I think we finally found somewhere the Empire can't reach us.
Imagine. No more looking over your shoulder.
A place that's worth fighting for, no matter the cost.
April 28th.
Interesting.
I'm pretty pumped. Are you done watching it yet, John?
Yeah, I was watching it on yours.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm pretty excited, to say the least. I think it looks
Like they're gonna have a lot of maybe playable characters, more playable characters.
Yeah, I think that, or at least you're going to be doing combat with people or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what do they
it
call them?
looked like to me too.
Combo takedown.
Yeah, something like
Take
that.
down
Where, like, you
companions.
can hit something and like you and your teammate do a final takedown together. But there were a couple things here that I thought were pretty interesting. First off, it looks like they go to Coruscant or some other
Yes.
city
Yes.
planet.
They were
Which
definitely.
I would
on
not
Coruscant.
have expected going to Coruscant when you're one of the most hunted people in the galaxy. Looks like he's fighting Inquisitors again. So apparently he's had several run-ins with the Empires.
The Empires.
The Empire, I should say. We see here he's fighting a Purge Trooper.
Oh, that was Coruscant though. A couple
Yeah,
frames
that's
ago.
Coruscant. This Coruscant right here, isn't it?
Probably.
Looks like it.
He's going to get Baby Yoda.
Oh yeah, there's Coruscant. That has to be Coruscant, right?
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, that looked like the same exact shot from Mando.
Here he's fighting a Purge Trooper, and looks like Stormtroopers died getting shot by something over here. But this is his ship, so he's going to Coruscant for some reason. Oh, you know what? I bet this is where he goes to the Jedi Temple, because he goes into the Jedi Archives. We see
do
him
what?
talking to Siri. In the original trailer, he talks to Siri in the Jedi Archives.
Oh,
Do we see it here?
I think he might go a
see
little
her.
dark side because Marin was talking about how if you let it, it will consume you. Is that what she was
Well,
talking about?
It might be a temptation too.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna say he's gonna go, but he's gonna think about it.
Again, the lightsaber going through someone and not like actually cutting them in half.
I thought there was dismemberment in
I think
another
they have
trailer.
membership of dismemberment of clones and droids,
Clone membership.
or stormtroopers, I should say. All right, what do we see here? Just a fight sequence of some kind. I don't know who this girl is.
Cannon fodder.
Okay, what do we got here? What the heck is this thing, dude?
It's a little innocent creature that they're just trying to squash.
Huh. Okay. And then, so these guys are called the
Little frog.
what do they say they're
Mandalorian?
calling them? No, they're called the Raiders of something, or there's some like group of like bounty hunters.
If only we knew what that translated to above the door.
Oh, that
I
says
think-
bar.
There, no, Arabish. Hang on, I got it. Let me just screen cap it real quick, and then I'll translate it.
But we got some B1 battle droids though, recommissioned B1 battle droids.
Wait, and that's Kane. That's him in the background.
Yeah,
Look
he's
at.
right here.
I didn't see he was in the background.
So I feel like he's probably about to save this little dude. For some
What a
reason.
shame.
Is this a Mandalorian? Some weird Mando?
I mean, yeah, that's what I said. He kind of looks Mando-ish.
Mhm.
All right, let's see what
Probably
this
not.
says.
Oh, whoops! I clicked away.
Let's see what this says.
What are you doing? Translating it somehow?
Yeah, so those are OON. The first one is SK.
Saloon. It's Saloon. SALOON.
SALOON.
LOON. So I was right. It
It
said
appears
bar.
to say saloon.
I was right. So I told you I can speak basic. So
No, that's
who's
not
this
speaking,
guy?
That's reading. That's reading.
Is this a
It's a
Inquisitor?
Spartan. No, it's a Spartan
what do you mean a Spartan?
from Halo
Oh my gosh. No, look.
or from Destiny.
He's got a
what do they call
lightsaber,
him?
bro.
What do they call him in Destiny? What's the thing he's called? The main characters.
Oh, they're called
You are one of them in the
yeah,
game.
yeah. Let me think. Oh,
It's
you're
like-
light. You're light. That's an R. Why you gotta do this to me, John? Guardian.
Guardian. We are the Guardians.
Okay, for real though. What is this?
Destiny Guardian versus Jedi is an autofill. That's
Okay,
funny.
Guardians don't use lightsabers. First off,
No, but that's the point. Is
he's got
they're
a
using
cross hilt
lightsaber.
saber here.
We don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know who he is,
I just
or
wonder.
she, he or she.
That's
we don't know.
definitely a dude, or some jacked woman.
Cara Dune. It's Cara Dune.
Do you think this is a main character or just like a side boss?
A main boss,
Hmm.
a side main.
Looks like
That's
he's
a good
on
shot.
a ship here, right?
Nah, it looks like in a building
Hmm.
in Coruscant.
I think you beat him based on that shot that we saw.
Hmm.
Looks really beautiful. I mean, I know this
Looks
is
like
probably
Navarro.
could be. This is probably just not just cut scenes, right? But so yeah, this is what you're talking about. Cal, look into the fire.
Fire.
She's
It
all
will warm
smoked
you,
off.
It'll warm you, keep you company.
keep you company,
With the people equal.
but left unchecked, it will consume everything.
So I wonder if she's even talking about just like his passion to like find this quest of keeping his family safe too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just being too passionate about anything can consume you.
Yeah.
I feel like
Facts.
that might be somewhat what she's talking about because he seems like he's going to save his family or save whoever he can, no matter the cost, and it could turn him to the dark
I
side.
respect that.
Yeah. Which is cool to see her talk about that. And I think it's also cool that we're seeing the Force used in a different way as well, because I do believe that's what we're going to be seeing in the Ahsoka show. So to have some precedent is going to help me out a lot as we go into the Ahsoka show. Because I think that where the era or the area part of the galaxy that they're going to for the Ahsoka show, they will be using the Force in a different way. So having some precedent set is going to help. I mean, I know we've seen the Night Sisters, but we'll see. This is really cool gameplay. I believe.
Until there is
Platforming
only
there. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, and you like push forward. Probably
Yeah,
got to get the skill tree.
Yeah, I'm sure you have to have the skill tree. It's going to be the same idea where you have to have certain abilities to get a certain
everything
jump,
until there is
pull.
only ash.
How could you let the galaxy fall to...
Okay. Dude, totally High Republic Jedi. No doubt that he's not.
Yeah.
So I think our prediction was correct.
Would you let
He's
the
been in stasis for quite a while. I mean, the gold trim and outline and stuff. And he seems to be upset that the galaxy fell to this unworthy machine of an empire. So my guess with this guy is that he was a Jedi during the time of the High Republic, when things were top tier for the Jedi, and he kind of wanted to take them down a path, and the Jedi outcast him and pretty much put him in this back to tank and said, we're not going to kill you, but you're too radical for us to allow you to just be out on your own with these radical ideas. And then he wakes up and finds the Jedi Order and galaxy has plunged into madness pretty much. And
galaxy fall
wants
to this
restore the
unworthy
High
machine
Republic.
of an empire?
It makes sense for like their own.
Yeah.
Marin looks pretty cool.
Hope they feel beyond regret.
So this guy, notice anything familiar about him at all?
Doesn't he look like the dude from Bad Batch
So
and Force Awakens?
this is the same race as Dirge.
From Bad Batch?
No, do you know who Dirge is?
No.
Dirge is the guy, the bounty hunter that fought Kenobi on the jousting episode in the animated Clone Wars or the cartoon Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. The bounty hunter that like was made of tentacles, kept pulling himself together.
Oh, yeah.
This is the same race. So they're pretty much unkillable because they just regenerate their body cells. At least in that show they were. So I would love it if they kind of treat this guy like that, where he's almost unkillable. But apparently they've released like a bio about this character, and he's the same race. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to watch those Clone Wars episodes on Disney Plus. Highly recommend. Looks like we're still going to get the tombs and the puzzles that we got in the first game, which I enjoyed those. Did you guys? They were kind of a
Some
controversial.
of them were a little annoying.
Yeah.
Like the one where you were in, I think it was in the Zepho room, and you had to
The balls.
put the balls on fire and then put them in the right, and if they hit the water, they went out, and that part was kind of annoying.
Did you play Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah, I'm playing it right now.
How do you feel about the puzzles in that game? Because there's quite a few, are there not?
So far, nothing's crazy. I thought it was gonna be a bit harder.
I was watching
There
Jim
aren't
do
any,
one.
like,
It looked
crazy
pretty
ones.
tough, but okay.
But I think we finally found somewhere the Empire can't.
So this line, do you think he's actually like looking for a place just to hide, and that's all they really want? Do you think he's kind of decided he's not going to fight anymore?
No, probably not. I think it's just they can go there if they need to.
Okay. Do you think that's a main plot point? Because this next thing that we
Reach
see,
us. Imagine. No more looking over your shoulder.
A place that's worth.
right? So it all kind of points to this, a place that's worth fighting for no matter the cost. So like, are they just looking for a place for them all to hide and not have to like be on the run anymore?
Potentially.
I don't
Or just
know.
like a home base at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like a pretty strong plot point. So I don't know how I feel about that being like the main, or maybe that's their initial goal and then they get thrown off task or they get separated or something. But
I think it'll be a home base. Like you actually get a home planet, home
like
instead of just your ship.
unknown by. It looks like it's just a small asteroid. You know what I mean? It looks very small.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what
Fighting for,
Yeah,
they're talking about,
no matter the
they
cost.
could be.
it's voiced over, so that audio could be talking
Yeah.
about something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. 1 month. 1 month and 3 days. So
It'll be about 365 days until I play it, so I can get it on sale.
I don't understand. John, I will personally pitch in so you can play it.
No, don't, dude. I'm just stingy. I'm not in. capable. I'm just stingy. Especially for these
How are you that patient,
single
man?
player games.
I just can't do it.
Well, it's just
And I don't want
it's
things
just
spoiled
Fallen
for me
Order.
either, 'cause
Yeah, I know. It's
we're gonna
just,
come on the podcast and we're gonna talk about it.
Well, then I'll forget about it, or I just won't show up.
John, we need you to do it just for the podcast's sake.
No.
We've made
It'll be
made
okay.
enough money on the podcast that I can invest into you getting the game. What's up, Jacob?
We haven't made zero money.
Yeah, huh? From our Audible ads
On where?
on Spotify and iTunes and everything like that.
Like less than $5?
No, we got $38 in there.
Wow. How is it behind a locked wall, or like
No.
you have to hit a certain threshold before you take it out?
Nope, no. I can take it out right now.
Wow. Well,
I just have
hold
a
yourself
Going
something
towards
nice.
your
I have
copy of Jedi Survivor.
yeah. There you go.
Because that's fair.
It all goes to John. I put in all the work. John, here's your $38. But no, I have like a recorded ad that plays at the beginning of every episode on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere you listen to it. So every
You know how much money they
every
made from
listen
you?
that it gets is like I think 2 cents per listen or whatever.
Well,
Nice.
get yourself a nice Lego set,
No, I'm
or
gonna
get some diapers.
I'm gonna wait till this takes off and invest it into the show. I actually I have a friend. Love you too.
You have a fan in the chat.
Yeah, I see that. I have a friend who does commissioning artwork. He does hand drawn stuff and digital art, and I thought it'd be cool to have him maybe do some logo work and some other things that we could have for like intros and outros and whatnot, and then potentially like breaks between segments. I don't know. We'll see.
Or
I
like
got-
a personnel artwork where he draws us in a Star Wars, like Nerd Theory.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Just some stuff like that, and then maybe even like thumbnails. You know, we could have some hand drawn thumbnails. Kind of cool. I don't know. I feel like that might.
Once
be a
we're
lot.
big, that might be overkill.
I
at
mean,
this level.
it's a buddy. I'm not going to be paying him hundreds of bucks or anything like that.
Wow. I thought I was stingy.
Unless that's what he would want to charge me, I would not pay him that much, personally. But,
Just tell him that giving him the exposure is payment. Artists
yeah,
love
I mean,
that.
I would get him credit for it. So,
No,
get-
artists hate that.
oh, you get exposure for something?
Yeah, like, oh, I'll pay you an exposure.
Oh no, they want the
I
money.
hate that so much. It's like, no, pay me for my work. That's reasonable. I totally agree.
Well, I think that's all for this week.
And I've got 11 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed. I'm tired. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching this week. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please be sure to tell your friends about us and tell us about your friends, as always. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe. I know a couple of you are in here, so hit like right now. I can see you. Hit it. Do it. All right. May the force be with you.
Do it.
Always.
May the 4th be with you.
Coming up.